Good morning, everybody. Is everyone out there in TV land? Got your coffees? More or less awake? I don't know what it is, but for a couple weeks now, I have had a hard time getting going in the mornings. But I'm here. I've had breakfast. I have my coffee with me. I got things set up in here because I didn't quite get it done by the time I got home from my work last night. So I was just moving a couple cameras around. And, oh yeah, the camera's over here, not there anymore. I said I'm awake. It doesn't mean I'm completely with it yet. So I'm going to be doing some oil painting today. And I will be checking. I got my monitors over here so I can see if anybody's chatting or check my feed. I think that I did the best I could to set up for painting in this direction. It's a little weird. Maybe it's all a little weird just because no matter what I do, there's wires everywhere. And I'm not really sure how to change that without like majorly reconfiguring where things are in the room, where my computer is, and that requires a little more figuring out than I've had the time to really think about and effort to do. So we're going with it as is, best we can. I kind of have my palette. It's a little bit in frame on the other camera, the big camera, where you can see the artwork. You can see a little bit of my palette here. I guess I could set up a third camera just for that. Yeah, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, would it? But yeah, that's not how I have it today. So I'm going to sip some coffee and put out some paints and cross my fingers that I don't destroy the entire world working on this painting, because I barely know what I'm doing any day of the week. Okay. I even have a refill for myself for coffee. Thinking ahead. You know, gotta learn something once in a while, and that's something that I learned, to have coffee with me. All right. For what oils I have right now, I'm currently keeping them in a little bin to attempt to stay a little bit organized. I mostly just have some small tubes. Because when I first started with oil painting, I didn't have, well, as recently as this summer, I had nothing. And so I went and I bought like a basic starter set of Winsor & Newton's, just little tubes, 12 milliliters. So pretty small amounts just to start and just to kind of like get the feel. And I've started to buy a few more. These are a little bit bigger, 1¼ ounces tubes of some colors that I knew that I would want to have that either weren't in the original set, or white. I knew I would need more white because I do a lot of people. And I threw this in there. It's like a little freebie pack I got some time ago that has these little packets. I've had this for a really long time, but it's like, hey, I'll put it with all my other things and maybe I'll use it. And that's yellow ochre, naphthol red light, ultramarine blue, and white. So very small little set of like 0.05 milliliters. And I do have one other set of things, and this is a trip. Oh, I don't know if I can even get to it, just because of cameras and things the way they are. But this was, I've mentioned before, I have some of my dad's old stuff, but this is a set of oils. I'd actually had a whole bunch of stuff of his. There was this like case, not really like a plein air painting case. It didn't have any kind of easel with it, but it had a place to hold your palette pad and then brushes and paints, and it was full of these tiny tubes, but they were all I think they'd just been unprotected from weather and such for so long that they just didn't hold up. But I thought these were okay, but as I took it out, it just split in half. I mean, it's still usable. I just add some like oil maybe to it. So I need to be very careful taking the tubes out. I think the paint has held up better than the tubes maybe. Yeah, here's a cerulean blue that's sort of popping out and leaking. I'm telling you, this stuff is about 60 years old, so that explains a lot about the condition it's in. And I don't know, I'm probably not going to use these. Well, I said I'm not going to use them. I'm thinking I'm not going to use them today, but that yellow ochre that's split down the middle, if I don't put it out on my palette, then it probably will never get used. Here's one that had started coming out the end. Permanent green light. Okay, I am very much procrastinating by pulling out these 60-year-old paints out of this container and trying not to break the tubes open while I do it. Cadmium red light, okay. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of stuff in here. That's kind of cool. There's even rectified turpentine, but there's almost nothing in there. Turpentine. I say words wrong. That's what I do. There's almost nothing in there, so I don't know if it ever had actually been used, or I don't know if it had leaked. But there is a nice little container of linseed oil. Aren't these adorable? I love it. They're so weird and cute, and I don't even know, but it's there. All right, so I guess I should like use my brain here and think about what colors I actually want. You know what? My basic set of colors didn't even have yellow ochre, so maybe this was meant to be. Because I do use yellow ochre often for within skin tones. And like what's happening here on this painting right now, the reason there's so much red along here is honestly because I had it on my palette and I didn't want to waste it, so I started laying it down in some like areas that would be shadow. But I am going to be like, she is like floating in water is the idea. All this chaos will be going on around as per usual for my work, but her eyes will be a little bit blacked out in a way, and somewhat the mouth too. This picture, like I guess I'm squeezing this out, the bottom's coming off of it too. Like, these tubes just were not meant to last. Just use my handy palette knife. What was I talking about? Something to do with the painting? Yes. The theme of this painting, possibly the title, where I am pulling my information from, or inspiration from, my ideas from, is like the phrase, get over it. I don't know if how much anybody can relate, but like when I have been on a bit of a, I don't even know how to say it. I've not had enough coffee today. I'm just like, drop the first thing. I'm a little loopy apparently, and words are not my friend. So being told to get over it when there's something that is like maybe trauma that impacts you in your life, it's something that's very, I think, harmful to say to people, because if it was so easy to just like get over it, wouldn't we all? Hey LJ, hello. Good to see you this morning. Animal print pants, yes. It is just that kind of day. You know what? I don't know how it is where you are in Indiana, but it is snowing today. Although I'm looking out the window, it's kind of lightened up to almost nothing at the moment, but there's a dusting over everything. I think we're supposed to get like 2 to 4 inches here outside of the Chicagoland area. Which, you know what? It's like officially late February, kind of short month and all, so it's really not that bad. And for as warm as it's been, it's gonna melt in no time. So I don't know, I'm kind of in the way of seeing where I'm putting paints down on the palette. You can probably see from the camera that I'm looking at to talk is facing almost directly the camera behind me to capture the picture, so it's like right over my shoulder. So I'm trying to not be directly in the shot when I'm doing that part, at least. It's all a learning experience. Get a little bit better at setting things up as I go. I did the raw umber, okay. I don't think I'm gonna need black. One of my favorite colors to mix with is this one, which is dioxazine purple. Yeah, I always feel like I'm saying that wrong. But this blended with about any other color can give you some really deep, beautiful shades without going like purely black, which I often think has a little bit of an empty dark, pure black. Yeah, there's always some kind of undertone, warm, cool, otherwise, for the most part. And so I want to keep that, alive in there. This was cadmium red light, and I had cadmium orange hue. Probably very similar. Yeah, dioxazine purple is a regular part of my palettes. And I came to really like Payne's Gray also as kind of the same kind of thing, but it's more like a grayed navy blue. I like that tone a lot. I started using that with watercolor when I was first sort of taught how to use watercolor by another student, actually, when I was in art school. Go figure. It was a student, not any instructor or class. She used that for a lot of her shadows, and so I kind of remembered that and tended to go back to using that also. And let me think. Definitely do need some blue in here too. Cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, one or the other or both. Go cerulean. That reminds me of an episode of X-Files. I don't know if you've been an X-Files fan. I loved it when I was a kid. I just, like, my first foray into creepy things. Burnt sienna. I forgot my burnt sienna. Okay. A little bit of room in there at the end. Okay. That's my palette. Anyway. Yeah, I loved X-Files. Whenever I could try to watch it. My first time I ever saw it was like a super creepy mouse creature feature type episode, and I just fell in love. I've always been a weirdo. There is some episode where a guy can like influence people, and he gets somebody to drive into a truck by talking about how it was a beautiful cerulean blue sky, but the truck was cerulean. So the guy thought that was the sky and just kept driving into it. Kind of something along those lines. But that's what that comes into my head anytime I hear cerulean blue. And, oh yeah, look, cerulean blue. So there's some like kind of classic tones of the general palette, apparently, I guess. All right, I do have my cleaner. This is not turpentine, but it's terpenoid. I know Gamsol is really popular too, and when I was just initially buying my set of things, I was kind of guessing. I didn't do a lot of research. I'm just like, oh, I should go get stuff. and try to do some oil painting. So I got Turpenoid, which works well too. Not as much of a stench, toxins, all that stuff as turpentine. God. And since it is the middle of winter and I'm not going to have all my windows wide open, I don't have a good like air circulator or purifier for my studio. I should get one, probably, at least a purifier, but for now, try to keep the toxicity levels down. I have some stand oil for thinning the consistency, thinning out the pigment a little bit if I need to. So I have that here ready to go. And all right, I can't do a whole lot more procrastinating at this point. It's kind of a larger filbert, but I might use that to start getting some, like I did some work on her already, obviously, and then I added all that red gunk on there, but yeah, it was, what I'd had already there was very flat. So we need to crank things up a little bit. Right. Got some handy dandy paper towels over here. I did have, I was doing laundry. I went to fold I'm not procrastinating, I swear. I went to fold a pillowcase and it has all these like little holes coming into it because it's just that worn out. I noticed that and I'm like, first I'm like, oh, I guess I have to throw it away. Wait a minute, studio rags. So this might become my dedicated oil painting rag. I had that other towel that was literally from when I was in college that I was using while I was painting on the desk over here for acrylics and watercolor. So I'm working towards having some dedicated stuff for the studio that's not so, not just all the disposable paper towels. I need to figure out though disposing safely for anything that has, you know, the oil stuff that's not very healthy to be breathing and probably shouldn't be tossed in the garbage. So I need to find out the best ways to do that. All right, right now I'm working on getting a kind of playing around to get a nice shadow tone. Definitely want some blue undertones, but I got a little more red there than I need, so we'll just keep playing with this until it's where I'd like it to be. It's quite getting a nice like violet sort of shade, mauve-y. Just pull a little bit to the side with a little bit more of the blue. So I have a little bit of a darker shade too. Maybe even go one more with my dioxazine purple and a little raw umber. Whoa, that was too much raw umber. Wow, that raw umber overtakes everything. Okay. All right, I have a few different like shadowy shades here. Oh, look, you can't see any of what I'm doing. Sorry. Anyway, okay. Let's start putting some paints down. I'm just going to start with my darkest dark and work my way up a little bit. I'm kind of letting her body fade back. It's not that important. The water that's here will sort of overtake things. Oh, we got sleet now. Like, oh, I'm hearing something hitting the window. That's weird. Oh, it's sleet. We've moved from snow to sleet. It's not so cold, I guess. Tomorrow's supposed to be super cold. Well, relatively speaking, considering that we've been having like 50-degree days, it's going to be in the 20s or maybe around 30. That's not super cold. We've had insanely mild winter so far, and I have to say so far because it is the Midwest and you never know what's going to happen. We could have snowstorms in May. Like, it's just yeah, you can't count on anything, but relatively speaking, super cold. So not that cold. Super cold is sub-zero. We are not anywhere near that. Yes, this looks like utter chaos right now, and I'm where it's sort of my thing. Okay. I think we got some good shadows in place. Brush a bit. And we can start going with some lighter shades, work our way up to warming things up a little bit in some areas. It's not my favorite yellow in this palette. Not my favorite. I really should just be using my palette knife for my mixing, making a big old mess. All right. Pinkish medium tone. This is a bit of a drastic departure from the artwork that I did on my last stream. I might do that again. I got pretty irritated towards the end of working on that when I got some really, like, we'll say just say messed up comments. It's very not happy with how that ended. They were all recorded, and I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it would be better to do that type of a thing, that type of a stream during the day. It wasn't even late at night, it was like 7 to 8, but definitely got some creeps out of the woodwork. There's definitely some like building, rebuilding, undo, do it again. Oh my gosh, yeah. As far as the time element with oils, it's a totally different situation. I can continue to go back in and blend for quite some time. I mean, it would take days at least for this to dry completely. So I'm working entirely like basically wet on wet, which is not exactly the same as working like with watercolor wet on wet, but it's losing my nose here. But yeah, I can continue to blend and work with the watercolor being very much softened for quite some time. And also for the palette as well. It's very forgiving for what I put on the palette. Like I can leave this for a little bit of time and come back to it and still continue to work with the paints. If anything, maybe add a little bit more oil into it. But yeah, that's kind of the situation. It is very much more forgiving than working with acrylics, which are dry almost as quickly as you put them on the canvas. I'm sitting at a funny little bit of an angle to my piece, which isn't ideal, but just for the sake of the camera being able to see well what I'm doing. So I keep looking back at my feed to see what it's actually looking like a little bit, and that helps. with the type of anxiety that I have, it actually started to become almost like crippling to work with my uh, acrylics. I would be like putting the paint on the palette. It's like you have to put your paint out and then it's go paint. You have so much time until the paints on your palette aren't really good to work with anymore. And that makes things very high pressure. And then it's also like I'm just wasting all my paint too when I do this. So there's a combination of all of those elements of like stress related to that kind of doing for me. And that's where I found some solace in working with watercolor. Because it didn't matter. Your palette dries, it's what it does, and then you just add water to it and keep working. I could come in the studio and add literally one piece of one brush stroke to something and it's fine. Like I can do that. Much trickier with, like, you can't do that with acrylics. Remember when I said I was probably just making a huge mess of everything? Yeah, that's pretty much what we're doing. It's okay. I also have a reference that I'm working with off to the side here, which I'm not sure how much that's doing me much good. Like I said, when I'm at this kind of weird angle, I don't know how much I'm just screwing things up. But we'll get to something eventually. It's all good. I don't know. I don't want to lean too far over and then I'm in front of the camera. Just like a real professional. uh. Gonna quite the broad jaw there, haven't I? I think the angle that I'm working from is like much more problematic than I'm willing to admit to. But let's see, we're gonna try to make things come together. I'm gonna try to increase the size of my reference because I'm not working in a very intelligent way. Maybe if I can see better what the heck I think I'm doing, that might help. Starting to find her nose a little bit, at least. Makes me laugh because it's so ridiculous. This is gonna make me insane, trying to get this right. Oh, now it's really snowing outside. We had some sleet. Now we have some crazy, crazy coming down. All right. Just need a little brush cleanup break here. Okay. Now, maybe if I can work a little smaller and maybe not so crazy. I keep losing the face, like how it, oh man, I'm just making this so much worse as I go. Yes, I agree, LJ. The process can be confounding for sure when we get to a certain point. Trying to have myself work in a way that I don't normally work is kind of throwing me for a loop a little bit too. So there's like that unfamiliarity of, like, I know I'm not seeing it right, which doesn't help, and I'm not very good at trying to force that to work. But I do know it will eventually come together. Somehow I always finagle some things. This is something I always tell my kids in the classes that I have, is to trust the process when they get frustrated. And then here's another example of like that moment where, you know, I need to remember to take my own advice. So, but I'm also stubborn enough never to really give up on much of anything. You know what? I'm just gonna I'm gonna give myself a little bit of clean space here. No, she really looks weird. Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit of that. There, now she's Voldemort. I think I'm getting a better placement. It's all still very flat, but that helps. I think one thing that's throwing me off is this eye. It's not, I just need a better placement of it on my canvas so that it's not throwing off where I'm putting everything else in conjunction to it. Oh, that didn't work. It's very strange because I'm looking between looking at my palette and looking at what's on the screen. There's like a really strange disconnect that things aren't like, oh, I think that's wrong. But then I go back and I change it. I'm like, no, that wasn't it at all. Note to any artists out there, don't work on your stuff from an angle. That's really going to throw you off and make things way more difficult than they need to be for you. All right, let me see. That's really strange. To make things even worse, I'm getting a significant glare from this angle to the canvas too, so that's really doing some strange things to my perception of what I'm seeing on the canvas. So I'm trying not to be in front of the camera while I'm painting, but I keep like moving over to try to see better what I'm doing. So yeah. Some of the issues that can certainly happen trying to work this way. What's happening with my lip here? Something's goofy. treading water here, aren't I? I feel like I'm doing the same thing over and over and not getting better results. It's getting very flat. Okay. Now that I'm doing much more of painting from what I'm seeing on the screen, more so than what I'm seeing with my eyes, I think I'm actually starting to achieve something. And that's kind of funny. Can't trust my eyes. Not on this one, apparently. All right, I'm feeling better about what's starting to happen with the shapes and the proportions. I definitely still got, I have, of course, now kind of ignored the hand because I've been so focused on the face. So I'll go back and try to get some of these and work these same tones into my hand up here. And again, having to mostly work from what I'm seeing on the screen, which is weird. Like I said before, I'm a total professional. I know exactly what I'm doing. Oh no, that's not right. Let me look here. When all else fails, we are our own best models, because that's what I have. I have me. Too much purple. I have still been trying to get myself through that big magic book. Determined to finish it by this weekend, and I can definitely do it as long as I, just keep working at it. I've gotten into a part of that book now where it's like it's more about like learning what you need to learn to be the kind of creative person you want to be. It's more like where to find, who you learn from, how to like choosing to dedicate your time to something. It's more, the more concrete elements of that I can actually buy into a bit. And so high hopes that the rest of the book will be more along those lines than just too much of the woo-woo stuff that just fucks the crap out of me. So we'll see. Hopefully by my Monday evening stream I'll be able to report back and let you know if I'd recommend it. It's just like, it's one of those books that I picked up because it's on every recommended reading list for artists that exists in the freaking world, it seems. So I bought it because I'm like, oh, well, it must be really good. But there is certainly a tendency for artists to like have a bit of a woo-woo kind of side. Like, I don't know. It exists. I'm not one of them. I'm a cynic. I just can't believe in just anything just 'cause it's nice. Like, that expectation is a real problem for me. And it's very easy for me to like check out from what people are like, I have all respect to anybody who believes anything they want. You do you. But I do me. And I just can't get on board with the universe guiding me. I don't want to. I certainly prefer to believe that I have much more influence over my future and life. I don't believe that we have preordained destinies or like rights to claim. I don't believe we're entitled to anything except our own efforts. Oh, if you can see, I keep holding my hand up. I'm looking at my own hand to decide what I'm doing here. Last night when I came home from work, as I'm walking up the back from my car where I'm parked to the entrance, there's a big old skunk walking around back there. I just put my hand in the paint. Yeah. I know they're back there. Always kind of got to watch for them. And it's officially, and if they're out and about right now, yeah, you know it's really been mild. Sorry for leaning in front of the camera. Just trying to stay on top of what I'm doing. The fact that I couldn't even see whether paint got on there right now or not. Okay. Feeling pretty okay about where the hand is at the moment, I think. Not super excited about what's going on with the arm yet. It's too flat. Okay. Oh, well, it has been an hour and a half now. I went from completely destroying what of anything I'd had on here to pulling it back and actually getting somewhere. So I'm pleased with that. Okay, and this might be a good place to stop for now. I have a lot of refining to do, and then there will be like detail adding. But I'm getting to a place that I'm pretty happy with. Chaos is starting to have a point. And if you saw the beginning of this video and you saw like how far I had this painting to start with, and if you're thinking like I kind of took it a lot backwards in my work today, yes and no. I definitely had it further along in terms of like where all her characteristics were, but it also wasn't quite right. There was really no outside of all the red crap I'd scrubbed all over the canvas, there wasn't any words. Contrast, the contrast was super low, it was very flat. So it really kind of needed to be readdressed nearly from the ground up. But yeah, okay. Feeling pretty okay about where we are, and I will have more work to do on this. I have a lot of other projects to come back and work on as well for the rest of the day. Some other things that are expected of me. So perhaps this is a good spot to end on, where I don't completely hate what I've done. Sometimes you just gotta take what you can as the wins. I say that and then I keep putting down paint. Can't trust me on anything. I'm going to let her limbs kind of start to disappear, because the idea being that she's a little bit underwater, which is apparently a thing right now with my work, because I also have that large painting that I spent a stream trying to work on stream, which was difficult because of my camera setup, and it's very large, and you know, if anyone actually wants to see what I'm doing, becomes a little problematic. Yeah, that one isn't somebody being underwater too, but that is a lot due to like a feeling that ties in between these pieces. So they're, in the context of the series, it does make sense. I tend to feel like I experience anxiety as a feeling of being crushed under like cold water. And this one is about, like, you know, if you are somebody who were to struggle with anxiety, depression, traumas, and people keep telling you, why can't you get over it? Get over it. That's what this one is about to me. Well, I'm just sort of blocking in some hair things at the moment, so this is all definitely not how it will stay, but all right, let me just add just one more thing, because I said I was going to stop. But why would I do that? Felt like her forehead was getting too short there. My cat has entered the chat. He's here, which means it must be close to lunchtime. Oh, it smells funny, doesn't it? It smells funny, I know. Let's move those out of the way. Okay. And yes, indeed. It's been an hour and a half, a little more than that even now. And yeah, good spot to actually stop. I'll feed my cat and myself, and keep going along with the day. Try to get done as much as I can. This still looks like a hot mess for some reasons, but making progress. We'll get it there. We will get it there. Somebody take my brushes away from me. I have problems. Okay. Okay, for real, for real, for real. I'm stopping now, and I will say good day to you, and thank you for joining me, and yeah, I love you. Have an awesome rest of your week, and maybe see you on Monday at 7 p.m. So goodbye, I think, yeah.